What's poppin', everybody? This is SaberWolf94 and we got Pokemon sets from past formats. Once again, gonna be doing Mysterious Treasures today. Another very nostalgic set, kinda like Legends Awaken to me. I remember buying a lot of packs when this came out in our not exactly local store, but I remember buying shitloads of packs with me and my brother of this set. There was the Diamond and Pearl one too, but you know that those were kind of like the leftovers. The new shit was Mysterious Treasures. There were a lot of packs. We bought shitloads of them. I remember pulling. I mean, my brother pulled all of the rare hollows and shit, and I got like the two level X. I got both Electivire level X and Lucario level X from this set. So yeah. So speaking of those guys, might as well cover them. There's only like 3 level X's in this set, so let's just do those guys. So with Mysterious Treasures and Diamond and Pearl and Secret Wonders and I believe Great Encounters 2 and Majestic Dawn, you know, these kind of earlier Diamond and Pearl sets, I think the shit changed in Legends Awakened, but then again, Legends Awakened is big as fuck. You would only get like maybe 1 level X per box, and maybe you would not even pull any, I think. I think the ratios was kind of like 1 per box for sure. So yeah, I was pretty good buying a bunch of packs and getting these two guys. I only need McMortar level X. I don't have this card yet, but these two cards I have them in pretty good condition too. I didn't really use them. So let's start with Electivire level X. Really cool looking card. So 120 HP, you know, it's okay. It's not the greatest, but this is one of the earlier level X's, and it's pretty much like a stage 2 Pokemon because Electivire is a stage 1. He has Shocking Tail Pokebody. As long as he's active, whenever your opponent attaches an energy from his or her hand to the Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So that's not bad. It reminds me of Absol Prime, but that is when they play the Pokemon down. So this works whether they attach to the active, whether they attach on the bench. You, if they put an energy on, they're gonna get 2 damage counters. You have to be active, but it's still, I mean, not bad. Even if you just like get like a 2 damage counters, you only get this effect like once. It's still a good softening up for that time. So not bad, not bad. Pulse Barrier does 2 for 50, okay. And you discard all of your opponent's tool cards and stadium cards in play. And if you do, you would prevent all effects and damage done to Electivire during your opponent's next turn. So basically, if your opponent had at least one tool or a stadium, you know, you not only you got rid of that, you were basically invincible the next turn. So this wasn't bad at all. Of course, you know, it kind of relied on luck and your opponent to have those cards, but I mean, it's not really unlikely for him to have like at least one tool or something or a stadium, right? But yeah, kind of good. Doing 2 for 50 isn't actually that bad. This was before, you know, Pokemon were able to do like 50 and 60 damage for 2 energy. Usually you weren't getting these kinds of attacks. So it's not exactly too shit. It's a little fast. It's solid damage. This was a pretty solid Pokemon. Got a metal resistance. The 3 retreat isn't very good, of course, but you know, pretty solid, pretty cool. Looks good as well. Uh, the Secret Wonders Electivire, and yeah, basically that card helped you accelerate energy too. You could do a lot of tricks. Uh, this was kind of good in the beginning. Magmortar was probably better, but you know, this is still good. Maybe this is like easier to use, like you don't have to fuck around with a lot of energies and ditching and grabbing and shit. Simple Pokemon. So not bad, not bad. Then we got Lucario level X. I have this too. So this is actually quite similar to the Lucario that got released in Burning Shadows. It has that little modeling going after it. They're kind of similar. It's also got a tin promo, I believe. I really want that too. So Lucario level X, the one and only Lucario level X. It's got Poké Power Stance. So when you play this card and you level up, basically any damage and effects next turn, he's invincible basically for next turn. So this is pretty good. And this is important because close combat does 80 for 3. That is actually quite high for back then. You weren't really getting that. If you got like 80 for 3 and that kind of a damage, they usually had a big drawback in the attack. And it's the same with this guy. During your opponent's next turn, if you do this attack, any damage done to Lucario is increased by 30. So yeah, you're pretty much opening yourself up to get one hit knocked out much easier. But it's still pretty good. It combos with the Poké Power. Basically, what it means is you can use close combat one time without worrying too much about the drawback. You basically are able to do this once. Now, obviously, if you do like scoop up and that kind of shit, you get a pretty good combo going. You can basically become invincible. And this is like why I'm saying it's similar to the one in Burning Shadows. It does a lot of damage for 3 energies, and every time you evolve, every time you put this down, you're invincible for the next turn. So that's basically the effect. Its stats are okay, 110 HP, level up Pokemon, only 1 retreat. Not bad either. A very, very aggressive, high damage attacker for back then. Now, a lot of these cards in Mysterious Treasures in general, the attackers, like I've said with many other sets, when the SP shit came out, when like even Stormfront came out, a lot of these attackers were kind of a little bit obsolete. They were kind of too weak to compete. You could still use them, but they weren't going to be as good. And this guy doing 3 for 80 for a level up Pokemon, it's definitely good, but Gyarados could do like 90 and shit for no energy. You got the SP guys doing 60 and 80 damage for 1, and just many powerful Pokemon. So, not bad, but it didn't really stand the test of time. Okay, and then the last dude, Mortar level X, the only one I don't have. So this guy has 10 more HP compared to Electivire, 130 HP. And the same 3 retreat. It doesn't have resistance. It's got Torrid Wave. So if this is your active Pokemon, you may choose the defending Pokemon. That Pokemon is now burned. And you put 3 damage counters instead of 2 on that Pokemon between turns. So it has this instant burn shit with extra damage. Okay, shit you wouldn't see on a non-level X Pokemon really. And Flame Buster. Basically, it's 4 energy, 4 fire energy, snipe, and you discard 2, and you can't use Flame Buster next turn. But it wasn't bad for that time. It was strong, a little slow once again, but it's a snipe. It does 100. In the next set, Salamence could do the same shit basically. It only required a 2 water and 2 fire energy, so maybe it was harder, but it didn't have the drawbacks. Well, the can't use the attack drawback at least. You still had to discard 2 energies. But, this is obviously aggressive once again. You do a lot of shit. You would use, I think there were some mortars that maybe they kind of help you accelerate energy or you do some shit. I don't know, but this wasn't bad. Pokemon like Blaziken from EX Power Keepers that had gotten reprinted that grabbed you fire energies from the discard pile, similarly to Electric's Dynamotor. It existed and it was kind of used with this. Wasn't a bad combo. Playing a bunch of stage 2 Pokemon back then wasn't as a bitch as it would be today. So it basically had that going for it. It was kind of decent because of that. And you could use this with Infernape too. You would use like Infernape maybe as like the early attacker since it can attack quick. And this guy is a late game dude. Um, it definitely would put the hurt on you if it attacked. So really cool, Mortar level X once again. I have to buy this card. And these are level X, it's just 3 of them. You would maybe get 1 per box, and maybe you wouldn't get shit. And the last card that maybe, if you didn't get these guys, you would get is this secret rare, Timespace Distortion. A really sweet looking card, not that great of an effect, but it is sweet looking. It basically has the Diamond and Pearl Pixie Trio, that's what we all call them, Mesprit, Azelf, and Uxie. And it's just a trainer card. You flip 3 coins for each heads, you search your discard pile for a Pokemon, and you put it into your hand. So this is kind of like a Pokemon Rescue with potential. You can flip a bunch of coins and you'll get the shit in your hand if you get a bunch of heads. But, I mean, if you get like no heads, you did this for nothing. But because it's 3 coins, you flip 3 coins, the odds are kind of with you. I mean, you're gonna get at least 1, maybe, I guess. So then it acts like a Pokemon Rescue. And if you get 2 at least, then you already plus, you'll get 2 cards back into your hand. 2 Pokemon. And to be honest, this actually, I mean, Pokemon Rescue didn't get released all the way up to Platinum. So if you wanted this kind of Pokemon recovery to your hand, this was your only option. This was a very expensive card, I remember, because the ratios of this, you might like pull 1 out of every 2 or 3 boxes, maybe even more. I think it might even be rarer. I don't remember exactly how rare, but I remember reading like the ratios and it might be crazy rare. Um, so this is kind of an expensive card these days too, I think. It's the only secret rare, yeah. Level X's aren't secrets. So that's Time-Space Distortion for you as well. So I know I said like the attackers didn't really last from a set like this, but there's a lot of significant Pokemon, support Pokemon, that played an important role. So let's look at them a little bit, if I find them. Okay, so the first guy is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime here. So Mr. Mime, kind of like the base set, or I think it was from Jungle, I don't remember, but the Wizards of the Coast old school Mr. Mime, kind of like that dude. This dude has a Poke Body that blocks, certain types of attackers. So basically, if your opponent's active Pokemon had 2 or less energy, he wasn't going to do any damage to Mr. Mime. So this was pretty important because, you know, after like people found out that, a fast ass strategy like Kindra from Legends Awakened, trying to get like donks and beating your opponent super fast in kind of like a cheap fashion, like just getting rid of the only basic Pokemon they had pretty quickly. When they found out, that was kind of effective, you could kind of take advantage of the rules back then like that. It was very important to run cards like Call Energy and shit like Spiritomb became pretty big, and a lot of Call Energies and just a lot of basic Pokemon maybe to try and prevent yourself from getting knocked out and getting beaten in a cheap fashion like that. And this guy was one of the best like techs. Basically, he could protect himself against everybody of the, fast, cheap attackers from back then, minus Machamp from Stormfront, because you got knocked out from his effect. And it would have been cool if it blocked the effect too. Man, it would have been great, but it was still pretty powerful. Uh, Kindra wasn't going to be able to hurt this guy. Donphan, Jumpluff, man, fucking like luxury level X. Damn, even Garchomp if it had like only like a DC and a gain, which was probably the most common scenario. So, they wouldn't be able to kill this guy. So it was a good little tech stall card. This was actually pretty good in decks like Cursegar and other decks that did similar shit, maybe like Gliscor or Magnezone, that basically, attacked and switched. Maybe this would be one of your wall guys. Kind of like, with a Donphan when you had him Plasma Storm, I think. You had a bunch of these walls that you switched into depending on the situation. This was one of them. It was a pretty good card, pretty good tech that saw play. Even it was one of the cards in Mysterious Treasures that saw play when the ESP shit when all that shit was out too. So, pretty good. I mean, the attack, I don't think, people, used it. It doesn't really do much. It's like a guess thing, but yeah, this was mostly for the body. So the other kind of important support Pokemon I remember that I really like from this set is, okay, I know you're higher on the list, yeah, Azelf. So you get the Pixie Trio, the original like Pixie Legends in this set. We got them in Legends Awakened, but you get them as rare hollows, looking pretty sweet in this set too. And the best one is probably Azelf. So this dude has downer material. Basically, if you have the other two, Uxie and Mesprit, in play, uh, the attack cost of each of your opponent's basic Pokemon is one colorless more. So this was another like SP kind of anti-tech. You would use this to kind of fuck with your opponent, since the SP Pokemon wanted to be all about fast and use shit like energy gain. This basically made the energy gain like it didn't exist, so it kind of fucked with them, and that was kind of good. The best like deck this card was used was definitely Palkia, because you ran like the Mesprits for the lock, for power lock, and you ran like the Uxies for a lot of draw. That was like the best deck that utilized Uxie like we utilize Shaman these days, like with the Ultra Balls and shit. Uh, you were definitely abusing the card like crazy. That's why the deck was pretty good for its time, very good. And naturally, this Azelf was a great card in that deck too. You had very powerful locks and disruption going. And this was another card that was really kind of missed with the rotation. It really made things easier for SP Pokemon even more. And its attack, it doesn't really do much. It's just a 10 for Psychic. And your opponent can't attach any special energies next turn. But I guess it's there. So maybe I'll talk about the other Pixies, but this is definitely like the best one, the playable one. The other ones come as rare hollows too. So, besides these cards, these Pokemon, I can't really think of any other maybe Pokemon that stood the test of time, like when the SP shit and Stormfront came out. But there's a lot of cards that were pretty good in here, especially in the beginning when this set came out. Okay, so I guess when it comes to trainers, this was the original set that had BB Search. BB Search appeared in the set, and this was pretty good, of course. It was your supporter, your get a Pokemon from your deck supporter with the cost of shuffling a card back into your deck. Pokemon communication made these kind of weaker, but because of all the item lock back then, people still thought it was good to maybe run a couple of these. And Pokemon communication requires a Pokemon to put back into the deck. This you can put any card, so it was balanced out this way too. Got reprinted many times in the era. Then we got shit like Night Maintenance. Yeah, this was another big card from this set. This is basically the Super Rod we've got these days. Exact same effect. You shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards into the deck. Deck recovery card was pretty good. Most decks ran one of these. It's just a very solid deck recovery card. It was really kind of missed when it got rotated out too. I mean, it got reprinted in Secret Wonders and shit, but that wasn't gonna do it. That set was right next to Mysterious Treasures, so yeah. I mean, as for other cards like Dusk Ball and Quick Ball, they're not bad cards, but there was just better item support. At this, you look at the 7 bottom cards of your deck, you choose a Pokemon, and you can put it into the hand. So it's kind of like the Master Ball, but you check the bottom. The Master Ball before it got eroded. And Quick Ball, I guess this is kind of more guarantee that you'll get a Pokemon, but not what you really want. You basically reveal the top cards of your deck until you reveal a Pokemon. You show that Pokemon the first dude that you found, and then you put it into your hand. So this guaranteed gets you some shit, but it doesn't mean you'll get what you want. I mean, I guess depending on how you build your deck, you could kind of grab anything that's kind of good, but you know, Great Ball kind of got released eventually, which got you any basic Pokemon, and that card didn't really see, it kind of saw play, but wasn't all that. So you can imagine cards like Quick Ball were gonna be less good. And then we got Team Galactus Wager. Basically, this card that makes you play rock, paper, scissors. We don't see that all the time. And yeah, and I think it actually has some shit like no, it doesn't have this. Yeah, cards that used to have this rock, paper, scissors shit, they gave your opponent the option. Oh, if your opponent doesn't know how to play rock, paper, scissors, just flip a coin instead. So yeah, this didn't have that. You were gonna have to play rock, paper, scissors. So I think this was kind of used, or at least in Disruption Sableye, pretty much until all the better shit got released, like Judge and what have you. Maybe some people used it. Uh, you basically play rock, paper, scissors. The guy that wins draws 6. The guy that loses draws 3. That's it. Team Galactic, though. Team Galactic. Then we got Fossil Excavator. Yeah, I can't forget about this card. So this is basically like a supporter costless computer search for fossils. It's the best way I can describe it. It's a supporter, has Rourke over there, I'm pretty sure, or a guy that looks like him anyway. And I really like this card. It's got some cool art. You got a Gyarados there, but yeah. You basically search your deck for a trainer card that has fossil in its name, or a stage 1 or stage 2 Pokemon that evolves from a fossil. So yeah, it's pretty flexible. You can grab a fossil card, a trainer fossil, or you can grab any basic Pokemon or stage 1, or actually stage 1, they were all stage 1 and stage 2, they weren't basic. And you basically put them into your hand. And I think, yeah, you could search your deck or your discard pile, so it was more broken like that. So pretty good. Unfortunately, fossils weren't really all that great. Maybe like the best fossil Pokemon from that era was like Rampardos from Platinum, because it could do fuckloads of damage if you knew what you were doing for 1 energy. But if you were playing fossils, you were definitely going to play a bunch of these. It only grabs you 1 card, but it's powerful. I mean, it's recovery from the discard pile too, and you can grab anything. It's pretty good. Awesome. So this was another card that debuted in this set. A lot of these cards got reprinted actually throughout the DP era. It's amazing how many cards from this set would get reprinted. I mean, BB Search, Fossil Excavator, Night Maintenance. I mean, Quick Ball and Dusk Ball weren't all that great, but yeah. This had the fossil shit too. The original Armor Fossil and Skull Fossil. This is why. So yeah, back when they were basic Pokemon, but they counted as prizes. If they got knocked out, your opponent was going to get a prize. And they had these bodies. Uh, so with Armor Stone, you would flip a coin when you got attacked. You would decrease the damage for each heads you got. And this, I think, yeah, if it was going to get knocked out, you flipped a bunch of coins, and for each heads, your opponent was going to get hurt for 1 damage counter. So cool shit too. Man, I remember, fuck, like Gyarados and Rampardos are some of my favorite fossil Pokemon. Like, I can't, I go between like, is it my number 2 favorite or number 3? I don't know. Like, my top guys are Cradily, Omastar, and Rampardos. So I don't really know if this guy is ranked number 2 or what have you, but man, I remember my brother got a bunch of these, Skull Fossil, uncommon, or common cards actually. He also got a reverse too. And I begged the fuck out of him to like trade some of them to me or what have you, because I really just wanted, to at least have some of the shit. I didn't have Rampardos, but maybe try and, get this shit and use it, but he just wouldn't fucking trade with me. He wanted to fuck with me. You know, he was kind of like, yeah, man, I got them. You know, you don't have them. But yeah, multi-energy, special darkness energy, and special metal energy, a bunch of other good shit. So this set is actually pretty good. I mean, it doesn't seem like it. It's one of those other sets like Platinum when I think it's kind of like forgotten a little bit, but it's got a lot of shit. I mean, we haven't even covered the rare hollows and shit. Um, it's got Aggron. This Pokemon, I like it, but it's not really good. It can basically do like 100 for 4, and if you do, Aggron is going to do 40 to itself. I guess it's not that bad for that time. That was high damage for that time. And if you don't have to do 100, you can still do 60 for 4. Not that great. And Heap Up, basically you can shuffle all the energy, yeah, all the energy cards. Oh no, wait. You search your discard pile for all the energies and you show them to your opponent. And if you find any special energies, it does 40 and 30 more, and then you put those energies into your deck and you shuffle it. So okay, so it does 2 for 40, that's not that terrible. And if you get any special energies back into the deck with this effect, it's going to do 70 for 2. Now that's good, okay, but you kind of had to have special energies. So I think there's maybe some combos you can do because there's a bunch of cards here that discard cards from the hand for effects and shit. We'll look at them. But yeah, we got Alakazam. I want to talk about this card because it was kind of special. This was the only like card besides Power Spray that had the whole Yu-Gi-Oh hand trap thing going for it. You basically, when your opponent used the power during their turn, you could discard 2 cards from your hand and you negated that power. So yeah, it is 100% hand trap fashion if you guys know about Yu-Gi-Oh, but yeah, these effects were very rare and didn't really exist. I don't think a type of effect like that has ever existed besides Alakazam and Power Spray, both from the same era. I mean, Power Spray came a lot later compared to Alakazam, but they're the only cards I feel like. Uh, so this was kind of like Power Negation. This might have been, people I think did kind of use it a little bit in decks that have had a lot of room for techs like Kurskar. It could use a lot of psychic techs and shit, and this was one of them. It was probably the weakest option, but if you wanted power negation, you know, it was there. You would use like a 1/1 uh, Abra and a Alakazam, and yeah, rare candies, and have this kind of like a stage 2 tech Pokemon. Its attack isn't all that. It is 50 for 3, and any damage done to Alakazam by stage 2 Pokemon is reduced by 30 next turn. Only 100 HP, yeah, not that amazing, but you know, the power, it was for the power. Okay, so next we got Blissey. So this Pokemon looks very good as a holo. I have it. It's Blissey, gotta love Blissey. And this was kind of like a competitive Pokemon for the time. Uh, Happy Chance to 20 damage plus 10 for each energy attached to Blissey. And before you did damage, you could search your discard pile for basic energy and attach it to Blissey. So you guys can see it has this unlimited damage going for it if you have a bunch of energies. It can also grab an energy when it attacks. And the good news is it's also a stage 1 Pokemon, Blissey. Uh, you, Chansey's a basic Pokemon. This is a stage 1 Pokemon. Yeah, there's the Happiny baby shit too, but you don't have to use that. And 130 HP is pretty good. Of course, you guys know Blissey has a lot of HP in games and in cards too. So it was pretty good. You couldn't really ask for better shit. And Kind Egg, if Happiny was anywhere under Blissey, you could choose any number of cards in your hand up to the amount of energy attached to Blissey and put those cards on top of your deck shuffle your deck and then draw the cards equal to that shit. So yeah, I guess the power would only work with Happiny, but if you did use it, you had this draw power going too. Not bad. But I know this card was like, I think it was a World's deck or Nationals deck, something like that. So pretty good, pretty good. Bronzong. Bronzong. So basically this dude lets you draw a card. That's it. Once during your turn you could draw a card and then you could, oh yeah, you had to discard a card. But if you discarded an energy, you drew one more card. Okay, so not bad. It's still like a draw support Pokemon. Uh, this was like one of the other options, I guess, before Claydol and shit. I mean, Claydol was kind of like the best. I mean, I'm not like, I think, I don't want to say the card was overrated, but I guess I don't dig it as much because of all the disruption back then. He would die at a Garchomp too so easily when that guy got the DCE, but you know, it was a top card. It appeared in both World decks for the top World decks, or like the winning World decks for both years, as long as it was around. So it was a great card. So, you know, Bronzong and the other guys were kind of like lesser options. So this dude basically lets you draw a card, and if you ditch an energy, you get to draw one more card. So it was like costless, but you had to discard still. Little decent card, little decent card. We got Celebi. Search your deck for a grass energy. Attach it to Celebi. Costless, okay. And then we'll leave Tornado. You did 2 for 30, and then you move the energies around. So it was kind of like grabbing energies and conserving energies while doing damage. A little bit good, but only 60 HP. Yeah. We got Feraligatr. Man, this is like the worst. All the Johto starters got represented in this set. There's Meganium and Typhlosion too. This guy's basically the worst. I talked about him on my Pokemon TCG overview for Feraligatr. You know, its HP is good, but he just doesn't really do enough damage. Energy Cyclone is really tough to use. I guess if you manage to find a way to use it, it's going to be powerful. It's going to do unlimited damage. But Break and Tail is kind of shit. It disrupts too, but it needed a little bit more. Meganium. I think this card is better. It's got a water resistance too. It's going to do 90 damage for 3 if your opponent has any fire Pokemon in play. So it kind of helps it with its weakness. Fire is this Pokemon weakness, so it kind of has this shit going for it. Doing 90 for 3 is good for back then. And Ultra Power, flip 3 coins, and if you get heads, the defending Pokemon is poison. If the second one is heads too, you poison and burn. And if the third coin is heads, it's gonna get paralyzed too. So if you get super lucky, you're fucking your opponent up with big ailments and shit. But the sweet thing is it does 1 for 20 anyway. So this is why I think this Pokemon is cool. It's probably my favorite. I pulled this too from this set back in the day. I mean, I have all the cards these days, but I had pulled this a million years ago too. So yeah, it's gonna do 1 for 20 and a bunch of effects if you flip heads. Not bad. And then Typhlosion. This might be the strongest one, but yeah. So 110 HP is not the greatest, but it's got Firestarter, and this is basically like your fucking Dynamo shit. You may attach a fire energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. Right. So Typhlosion Prime did this too in Hard Gold Soul Silver, and that saw more play, I feel like, but that put a damage counter on one of your dude, but you could attach it to anybody, so it was easier to use. We didn't really have like Keldeo and Float Stones back then, so you kind of had to be more mindful how you use this. You kind of have to use it at the right time and just put energies on the bench. But you know, it's still powerful. It's basically Dynamotor for fire energy. And this was also one of the ways I guess you could combo with Magmar and shit. I almost forgot about this card. And grab energies and shit. So pretty good. Typhlosion Prime had more HP and a better attack, but yeah. And Evaporating Heat just does 3 for 60, and you discard a water energy, if any, to the defending Pokemon. So coming in Mysterious Treasures all the way, you know, before Hard Gold, Soul Silver, pretty good. You definitely could use this. But I really do seem to think that people use Blaziken for some reason. I don't know why. I think maybe his effect is more flexible. I'm not really sure. Blaziken also does this shit from EX Power Keepers. Okay. So what else is there to talk about? Well, there's a lot, but I kind of don't want to make this like another 1 hour video. These videos are supposed to be like 30 minutes and shit. But I mean, we have to look at this guy. Original Garchomp. Man, this was one of the cards my brother pulled, of course, from all the way back too. He got all the rare hollows. I got like the 2 level X, but he got all the best rare hollows. Uh, I was dying to get this card from him. He just wouldn't trade it. But yeah, this card is pretty good. Kind of overshadowed by Blissey, but it was good, if you ask me. It was kind of underrated. Uh, if you could use Rainbow Skill, it was going to do a lot of damage for that time. It had Free Retreat, 130, and then when DC got released, I guess you can kind of do 2 for 70 that way. But, I mean, there's better Garchomps. The one in Supreme Victors is just blows every other Garchomp out of the water. Besides the SP one, of course. But this is still a pretty sweet looking card. It's more sweet looking than playable, but it's not a weak card. It's just didn't like do the shit maybe it wanted to do. But pretty cool. Let me talk about Tyranitar. Those were like the top cards my brother got from back then. He got like Tyranitar and fucking Garchomp. Okay, so 140 HP Pokemon, so pretty big for that time. It was pretty big. Payback, if your opponent only had 1 prize left, this basically did 80 damage, and you discarded the 3 top cards of your opponent's deck for 2 energy. But if your opponent only had 1 more prize, you were probably going to get your ass kicked maybe, unless I guess you were also like had 2 or 1 prizes left. And Ground Burn, 80 for 4, but it requires 2 fighting and 2 darkness. Damn. Each player discards a top card of their deck, did 80 damage plus 20 more damage for each energy card discarded. So if you hit like 1 or your opponent hit an energy, it was going to be 100, and if you both discarded an energy, 120. Powerful for 4 energies, but you know, hard to use. I mean, either way, at least you're disrupting the opponent, but you had to discard an energy from your deck too. I don't think this card did shit, but it's kind of cool. Another cool looking collectible card, at the very least. You got a Bomb of Snow. I like this card, even though the Stormfront is better. Basically, every time this guy was damaged, the defending Pokemon was asleep. I remember it. And Heavy Blizzard, 60 for 3. But if you flipped heads, 1 damage card on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon, so not bad. It can put the hurt on. 100 HP for stage 1, not bad. It was one of those cool cards that, you know, it's grass, but needs water energy to attack. A Bomb of Snow. Cool shit. Okay. We got Gyarados. I want to talk about this card too. This card is actually very good. I mean, this basically does the Memory Berry shit without requiring Memory Berry. With Dragon DNA, Gyarados can use attacks from Magikarp basically. And if Gyarados uses any of those attacks from the basic Pokemon, it does 30 more damage too. Like, damn. And the thing is that the Magikarp in this set has Flail or Rage, something like that. So, it's powerful. And even if you're using Rage, doing 80 for 4, pretty good. And you flip a coin until you get tails for each heads. Choose one card from your opponent's hand without looking and discard it. But if the first coin is tails, this guy is confused. But I mean, it's still pretty good. 120 HP, stage 1, fighting resistance. It looks awesome too. This art is fantastic for me. I like it better than the Stormfront Gyarados, to be honest. But of course, that card was more successful competitively. But yeah, where the hell is the Magikarp? Let me find the damn Magikarp. There you are. So yeah, this dude does flail. So the more damage counters you have on, the more damage you're gonna do. And you're doing bloody extra 30 anyway, so this was actually powerful. I don't remember if this Gyarados did like shit, but it should have if you ask me. It's fantastic. No matter how I look at it. Like even if you think about, when the Stormfront shit came out, it's powerful. Got a bunch of baby Pokemon here. Yeah, there's a lot of shit. There's definitely a lot of shit. Like, we got Slacking. I like this card. Nobody probably gives a fuck about it, but I like it. This was the card that I use with Donphan Prime. Basically, you use Donphan Prime early, you kind of do a lot of damage, and you kind of soften up your Slackings, your Slack offices and shit, and then, you evolve into this guy because the Platinum Slacking is a pain in the ass to use. You put a Memory Berry on, and Slacking can also use Flail. It's going to do a lot of damage. 140 HP is pretty good. And yeah, you're good to go. You're not going to use Lazy Blow. You're not going to risk using the power of this dude, but you just kind of use him because it's your only option. But it's really good. It was going to hit Garchomp for weakness too. Not bad, not bad. One of my decks, kind of. Rampardos, yeah, the original Rampardos fossil. Basically, you only got this and the one on platinum. Uh, so this guy is not bad, but the platinum one was better. It was much newer, I guess. So assurance, as long as the defending Pokemon remaining HP is 60 or less. This attack's base damage is 60 instead of 30. And hasty headbutt, it's going to do 100 for 3. Rampardos does 20 damage to itself. And the damage isn't affected by anything. Doesn't even hit for weakness. Yeah, this is the theme deck I really wanted. I was dying for this theme deck back then. The same goes for the one Royal Frost with Empoleon, but we didn't manage to get it. I mean, in my local store, I mean, it's not my local store, but in the store where we had, like, we could get Pokemon cards and shit, because it was hard to get them in Cyprus, man, it was a pain in the ass. Like, we only got, like, every time we had the chance to buy these cards, we would buy, like, a shitload of them. It was the only way. And they had only the Torterra theme deck and the Bastiodon one. So both me and my brother, we got both of them, same ones. So we had the Bastiodon shit, this guy. But, I mean, my brother liked Bastiodon more than Rampardos, I think. So, it was better for him. But for me, I mean, I like this guy too, but I wanted Rampardos. So this dude, basically, protective wall, prevents all bench damage, and Anger Revenge, if this dude was damaged. This was going to do 60 and 40 to an opponent's bench Pokemon. Not the best, but yeah. And I think that's it. I mean, there's a lot to talk about still. I mean, I could be here all day. Like, Honchkrow, man, this is the original Honchkrow. It's one of my favorite, like, cards, but it looks so cool, but it's just terrible. It was just terrible, man. Like, 90 HP, okay, it's not the end of the world with only one retreat and a final resistance, but doing like only 3 for 50, not even DC compatible. It's just shit. And it has a little, hand disruption, but that's not going to be enough. And Dark Genes, I guess as long as this dude had the necessary energy to attack, the Markers could attack, could use that attack for free. But, it wasn't all that. I mean, you weren't going to do shit. You're going to use Marco to attack? Really? It was only going to do 50, I guess, for costless, but hard to use shit. The level X wasn't great, too. It's a damn shame. I mean, I wish, like, maybe the SV um, Honchkrow had this art, maybe, so we get the good, like, Honchkrow with the good art, too. I mean, not that the one in Supreme Victors looks bad, but this just looks awesome for me. A little minion. Basically, this was one of the guys you could use with maybe Feraligatr. Reverse stream, it did 30 plus 10 more for each water energy attached to the minion. And then you return all water energy to your hand. So I guess you kind of conserved the energy since this guy was going to likely die with 80 HP. One of the dudes you would use, I guess. And his power luring. Once during your turn, if Luminion was active, you may choose one of your opponent's bench. Yeah, so this was like a Luxray. You could pull whatever you wanted, Gust of Wind, as long as the active Pokemon had 100 HP or more. Yeah, not bad. This is actually not bad. It's pretty good. So yeah, maybe if you're going to use Feraligatr, this is one of your dudes you can use. Probably Lantern is better though, Lantern Prime. Okay. And we got the original mortar here. 100 HP. Not that great, but Flame Drum, actually no, that was a good attack. If you had Magby under this dude, it was going to do 3 for 80, no costs. That was kind of good back then. If Magby wasn't around, you had to discard too, though. So I think we're going to wrap this up, guys. There's a lot of shit to talk about, especially because this set is very memorable to me, very vivid. There's a lot of shit. This dude has an effect as well. It's just a lot of shit we could talk about. Man, Abra too, because of the Uri Geller fucking law case, since they can't print Kadabras, they don't really use Alakazam lines anymore because they can't use Kadabra. So they have to use shit like this, like with place search or Ultra Evolution. Basically, you search your deck for Alakazam and put it on this dude. Yeah, they had to do shit like this. You will find out there aren't almost any Alakazam cards and Kadabra cards and shit because, the dude, because of the Kadabra shit. So it's crazy, even though this is a Gen 1 Pokemon. It really is a shame. Fuck that dude. But I mean, I guess to be fair, Nintendo was kind of stupid, naming the Pokemon pretty much in Japan after that dude. The same name, the same exact name. But yeah, I think this is going to be a wrap. This is one of the greatest sets from DP, if you ask me. It doesn't really seem like it, but it kind of is. This is probably one of the sets that I bought the most packs from. I didn't ever get a box, but if you guys check my channel, I'll put a link in the description. I do have a video where I open 72 packs of this set on top of all the numerous packs we got from the store when we were young with my brother. So I don't know exactly how many packs I got from this set, but it's definitely the most out of any DP set for sure. So yeah, I'll basically have everything besides Mortar and the secret rare. Yeah, at this point. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys subscribe. Hope you guys leave a like. Share this with your friends if they want to learn about these old school sets. I do reviews on them. I like to talk about these old sets, look back at them. They're pretty good. Doing the DP stuff right now and the hard gold ones too. But hopefully we do some other ones too, like the black and white and maybe the EX series if I ever become knowledgeable enough. I need to like learn my shit for those sets because I want to be like qualified when I talk about these sets, not just say whatever the hell. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Share this with your friends to learn cool shit about these sets. Real talk. SaberWolf94, and what's up?